Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about building on what you guys have worked on the other day with dialogue. But today we're going to take into account the situation that's taking place in the story, right? So your story for today is examination day. And I'm going to go through some of this and I'm going to talk about some of the details that the author uses to try and show what kind of situation they're in and kind of the hints that you guys should be looking for when you're reading that kind of help you understand the deeper feelings that are going on, right? Now, remember, we're going to use this information to try and come up with the theme of the story. And theme comes from the reactions and the results of what happens in the story, right? So here we're going to say that we're going to start off. The Jordans never spoke of the exam, not until their son Dickie was 12 years old. It was on his birthday that Mrs. Jordan first mentioned the subject in his presence, and the anxious manner of her speech caused her husband to answer sharply. Forget about it, he said. He'll do all right. Now, I want you guys to notice that, tests are obviously one of those things that people usually get kind of tense about, right? But it's the parents here that are tense, not the child, right? And so that's kind of an interesting point. So what is it about this test that's got the parents on edge, right? And they don't mention this test until he's 12, right? So right off the bat, in the very beginning of the story, we're trying to build up this sense that maybe there's something going on with this exam that makes it more important to the parents than it does the kids. They were at the breakfast table, and the boy looked up from his plate curiously. He was an alert-eyed youngster with flat blond hair and a quick, nervous manner. He didn't understand what the sudden tension was about, but he did know that today was his birthday, and he wanted harmony above all. Somewhere in the little apartment there were wrapped beribboned packages waiting to be opened, and in the tiny wall kitchen something warm and sweet was being prepared in the automatic stove. He wanted the day to be happy, and the moistness of his mother's eyes, the scowl on his father's face, spoiled the mood of fluttering expectation with which he had greeted the morning. Right? So again, we have this kind of the difference in expectation of what's going to take place. We have the child who's super happy because it's his 12th birthday, and then we have the parents who are not so happy, right? They're anxious, they're worried. The father, because of the scowl on his face, right? I can infer that he's kind of upset about this, right? He's angry about it. Maybe he feels like he doesn't have control, or maybe he's worried. We don't know. And the mother, she has a moistness to his mother's eyes. Now, normally, yes, having tears in your eyes can mean that you're happy, but the fact that it's spoiling the mood of the day for his birthday means that he understands that these are not happy emotions, right? The mother, the moist tears in her eyes, that's not happiness, that's sadness. What exam? He asked. His mother looked at the tablecloth. It's just a sort of government intelligence test they give children at the age of 12. You'll be taking it next week. It's nothing to worry about. You mean like a test in school? Something like that, his father said, getting up from the table. Go and read your comics, Dickie. The boy rose and wandered towards the part of the living room which had been his corner since infancy. He fingered the topmost comic of the stack, but seemed uninterested in the colorful squares of fast-paced action. He wandered towards the window and peered gloomily at the veil of mist that shrouded the glass. Why did it have to rain today? He said. Why couldn't it rain tomorrow? The father, now slumped in an armchair with the government newspaper, rattled the sheets in vexation. Because it just did. That's all. Rain makes the grass grow. Why, Dad? Because it does. That's all. Dave puckered his brow. What makes it green, though? The grass. Nobody knows, his father snapped, then immediately regretted his abruptness. Later in the day, it was birthday time again. His mother beamed as she handed over the gaily covered packages, and even his father managed a grin and a rumple of the hair. He kissed his mother and shook hands gravely with his father. Then the birthday cake was brought forth and the ceremonies concluded, right? So a couple of things that I think are super interesting here, right? The government intelligence test, the government newspaper. It seems to me that the government has an awful lot of control in this story, right? So I'm automatically suspicious of the government, right? Also, the fact that government is spelled with a capital G here, right? So, like, I don't know, just me being very suspicious, okay? Also, I mean, this interaction between the son and his father, right? This seems a bit weird, right? Why, Dad, right? It's normal for kids to ask questions, right? And so the fact that the father doesn't know the answer to this question is what I'm finding suspicious. What makes it green, though? The grass. Nobody knows. Nobody knows? Really? Dad? Nobody knows? He couldn't come up with, like, I don't know, you'd have to ask a scientist. No, he says nobody knows, right? So I'm kind of questioning the father here. What exactly is he thinking, right? Now, as I read through the story, I would continue looking for these kinds of clues, right? Well, what is really going on? Why are they acting this way? Are they acting, are the parents acting the way I expect them to act when taking an intelligence test, right? So I would go through with those kind of thoughts in my head, right? I would also think about, well, what is the lesson here, right? And remember, lessons are going to come from what the characters do, how do they react, and what is the result, right? So when you're going through this, think about that. Well, who's doing what? What's the result of their actions? What do we learn from this, right? So those are the things I want you guys to keep in mind while you guys are going through this, okay? All right, and that's the lesson for today. Enjoy. Have a good day. Bye.